Welcome back to another episode of Darius College Steps to Success. And we are on episode 7. We're back to our regularly scheduled program. Episode 6, I just had to stop and encourage people to go travel the world, go travel their country, go travel their state, just go travel. So I just had to take a minute to encourage people to go travel and do stuff. But with that being said, I want to backtrack just a little bit and talk about transitioning from high school to college. So my transition from high school to college was a bit rocky. So one of the first things was that I had wrong was my social security number. And probably thinking like, how do you not know that? You're going from high school to college, right? But I had an incident where I guess my parents told me there was a specific number mixed up, and I put that number in there. And so come finding out my application stuff was wrong, my FAFSA, everything was not processing at all. And so come to find out, we go pick up the card again and there's a number wrong. And so that really screwed up like my application again to school. That screwed up my application for like FAFSA for school. It really screwed up everything. But thank God that we found out sooner rather than later, because all we had to do was just go in and confirm a number and confirm my identity, all that, fun stuff. So you want to make sure that's right. You're probably thinking like, nah, I know that by heart. Why did I make that mistake? We all make mistakes. So, make sure that stuff is right. You want to make sure your application is right. You want to make sure you're applying as early as possible as you can and getting those like application fee waivers. Most of the time, those application fee waivers are within the school. So the school I'm applying for grad school does not have an application fee waiver, which kind of upsetting because the application is $70. But they didn't have one. I mean, I think you can go and find like other sites for application fee waivers, but when I talked to my brother, he said most of the time they're within the school and they're like specific like requirements that you have to meet, like a 21st century scholarship, or if you're applying to 2 programs, they might reduce your fee on another program, stuff like that. So finding out if you're eligible for an application fee waiver, if the school has one, if you're eligible for like a reduced one as well. So, and applying at that like early application deadline, the early application deadline for grad school that I'm going to was December 1st. I got it in just right at December 1st. Why do you want to get in at December 1st? It's because you will be considered for more scholarships, for more fellowships, for more merits, because it shows that you have way more interest and you know what you're doing in like the early stages. So you are considered for most of the scholarships early. It's not like you're not going to get all of them, but your chances of getting more than one or just one are higher than kind of applying at the last second, because then all the money's ran out, all the scholarships are ran out. So trying to apply as early as you can to go get those like scholarships. That is my advice for that one. So you also want to, like, again, every school has like a specific school-based like website. For here, it's IU like scholarship portal. That's how I was able to get my schooling paid for the last 3 years, because I went through those portals. All you got to do is write some essays. You might got to put a little brain power in them. I know some people don't really like writing essays, but hey, $1,200 is money. 3,000 is money. 5,000, I'm just throwing out numbers. That's money that you can have for a refund. That's money that you can have towards your tuition, your housing, if you just take the time and write from your heart. Not necessarily you have to write grammatically correct. I mean, yes, that is encouraged, but write from your heart, because some of these things are about your experiences, about how your leadership has impacted you, about some home stuff, just stuff like that that'll help you get that money that you need. Next is just housing and roommate requests. So I got my my contract somewhere in March, I think, of 2021. And I really need to get that, like, secure that housing spot. I think that's when I did it. And I hurried up and took the first offer they had offered me, because if you don't take that first offer, they gonna go less and less. They're gonna go down your request and be like, okay, maybe he didn't want this one, but let's go to his third preference or his fourth preference. And that may not be something you like. So just take the first preference that the school sends you or the housing people send you, because then they go down and down. And then you're like, okay, now you ended up in a 4-bedroom apartment because you were super picky about some stuff. So make sure you have those roommate requests, because you can request a specific roommate who you want to be your roommate, even though, like, let's say if you in a college or in a high school person, like a high school friend, let's say you and that person are going to the same school and you don't want to room with a random, they have like roommate request forms in the summer going into it, because they don't finalize stuff. They just finalize like, hey, this is going to be the style of the room that you have when you accept that contract. But they don't necessarily pair you up with your roommates right away at that moment. Oops. Something that's dropped. Anyway, they don't necessarily pair you up with a roommate in that moment. So over the summer, they have a roommate request form, and you and your roommate can both at the same time, hey, request the same style of room or request each other to make sure that you are put with one another throughout the whole semester, throughout the whole school year, and you all don't have to worry about that. So another thing with coming with like roommates and going into college, your RA, I'm an RA right now, will ask you about roommate agreements. Roommate agreements are extremely important. We stress them here because just because you're best friends in high school all the way through, or like 16 years or whatever, how many numbers, does not mean y'all gonna be cool in college. There's been multiple instances where I've had to have roommate agreements and conflicts and stuff like that, and they were friends from high school. They were friends, and all of a sudden they get to college and they start living with each other. Then you start seeing each other's true colors about, you left the dishes overnight in this sink. Oh, you didn't clean the toilet, or your room's kind of messy. We agreed on a clean living space. You think you're good until you get to college and you start living with one another, and you start seeing each other's habits and what they do, and what time they wake up, how many people they have over, their schedule, and you're like, maybe we don't mesh that well together. So that is another big thing, making sure you fill out those roommate agreements, because I tell my residents, hey, if you ain't fill that out, I'm gonna tell you need to fill it out and then come to me, because I'm the RA and I'm supposed to look at both, like look at the roommate agreement and stuff like that. So that's very important. Parking and transportation. I didn't get a car till junior year of college, and so I was unfamiliar about how much parking passes cost. They cost money. They don't just cost money. They just cost a lot of money. I think the first one I got was like $500 for the whole year. That's a lot of money, because then you're like, you could have spent that $500 on something just to park my car. Yes, I'm just like, this year it was about $290, only because I opted to park my car somewhere else, which is just across the street. I live in a different area, but hey, that's like $300 less than I actually had to pay. But you also want to look at the different parking passes they offer and where you can park and where you can't park, because if you can't park in every spot with the passes. Some passes, they let you park in specific spots. Some other passes, they let you literally park all around campus. But that's not the case for every single pass, because if you park in the wrong spot, you will get a ticket. There are people here that will give you tickets. That's their job. So they might give you a warning. I've gotten a couple warnings because I thought I could get away with parking in a different spot just for a second, or just for like 30 minutes or an hour. Came back, there's a warning ticket right on my windshield. And I'm like, dang, they did this while I was in here taking care of this meeting or at the gym or something like that. I've gotten like 2 or 3 warnings, but I still had to pass. But that's better than like not having to pass it on. You going in and parking somewhere, they will ticket you. I think minimum here is like $50 or so. Could be wrong, but make sure you get those parking passes and that stuff squared away. Campus tours. Make sure you take a tour of the campus. If you cannot get there, then take a virtual tour. We're so technology based now that we don't have to travel. If you're living in like New York and you want to go look at a school in like California or Washington or something like that, you don't have to always travel to that school. They have the virtual tour. And yeah, it gives a different feeling, because sometimes when you get on that campus, you might be like, man, this campus really feels like I belong here, rather than being on a virtual tour. But it saves you time and it saves you money as well. So looking at those tours, those virtual tours versus the real life tours, really help you and impact your decision, because you may just hate the campus and you might think like, man, this school was on my top list. And then you get to the campus, you hate it. You hate the scenery. You hate how the buildings look. You hate the dorms. You hate the apartments. You just hate everything about it. But you heard the school in its name and you thought you was gonna apply there. Telling you, when you go to that school, then you realize that this is the school that I want to be at, or this is the school I don't want to be at. So make sure you take those campus tours and make sure you have like while you're getting those campus tours, make sure you know which each building is if that's really like your top school, and make sure you download that campus map and you know where you're going. So that really helps. There's also like as you're prepping for college as well, there's also crimson cards, or here they're called crimson cards. I don't know where else. They're your ID cards that help you get into like your dorms if you're living, but they're basically your identity around campus for like event, because a lot of people have to clock in like attendance and stuff. So make sure you get that card as well if you're living on campus. I don't know necessarily if you're traveling back and forth to campus if you get one. I'm not really too familiar about that, but I know I got one. And on my first day, I got to campus because they're really specific on how your picture should look like in a blank background and stuff like that. I was sitting up there trying to find any picture I could have had because I didn't have a haircut at the time, and I didn't want to go get a haircut, take the picture, because that's the picture that's going to be on my card the whole time. So I got to the campus and I didn't know where to go, what to do, and they were like, "Do you have your crimson card?" I'm like, no, I didn't know that's really what I need to get into my building, to get to my room and stuff like that. So I had to go up to the Crimson Card office and take a picture at that moment. Didn't have to wait too long, but I had to wait a decent amount of time because there were a decent amount of people that also didn't take their picture and send it in like me. So don't be that person. If they ask for a picture, send it in, find a picture so you don't have to go through that, because move in day is crazy. You want to be as smooth ride as possible on move-in day. So make sure you have that right. Orientation and move-in day. Like I said, move-in day is hectic. You need to find where you're staying, what building you're in, what room you're in, who your roommate is. So move-in day is just chaotic. There's a million people that are trying to move in. They're trying to get their stuff situated. So make sure you ask plenty of questions at the housing office, or when you move in and then you find out you're RA. If it's me, I'm cool and all, but somebody else, obviously, if you don't go to this campus, it won't be me. But ask questions from your RA about how do I move in, how is this or stuff, roommate agreements, just like the basics of like moving into your apartment and getting settled. What is allowed, what isn't allowed, what's illegal, what is legal is very important, because not everything is legal here. Not everything is legal in your apartment and in your dorm. They have different sets of rules. So, you also want to make sure that you talk to your advisor and schedule your classes as is. Because once you get into the school, you should, don't quote me, but you should have an advisor reach out like, "Hey, hello, I'm your advisor. We need to get classes scheduled out the way," because there's hundreds, thousands of people that are probably trying to schedule the same class as you. So coordinate with your advisor, your academic advisor, and say, "I'm going to take this course here and I'm going to take this course next semester." They don't necessarily reach out to you as you go on. It depends on the advisor, but mainly you want to reach out to your advisor and make sure you're on track for graduation, because that is very important. My advisor helped me schedule my classes for the fall semester as I was coming in. Smooth sailing, helped me schedule for the spring semester. She had already looked at my fall and placed my classes by the time and said, "These are basically what you need here for right now." And then when we got into the spring, she already had like a list of classes that were set up. And I'm just like, okay, that looks cool. And I'm making sure, I'm like, okay, do I have to take this class? And she's like, okay, maybe there's an alternative for this one. Because sometimes you may not have to take every single class because there's more freedom in college. So make sure you look at leeway. Make sure you look at if this class could count for this major and that and other stuff. So basically just making sure that you're transitioning into college smoothly. I don't know if every college, they probably do. They have campus health where you can go in. If like my doctor's back at home, but if you want to go in and get like a flu shot, a COVID booster, a checkup on if you have the flu. I had the flu and COVID this year. Let me relax. I'm getting too riled up. I don't know how I got both this year, but They make sure you get your COVID booster, your flu shot, and stuff like that. So they have campus health. So make sure you ask questions from your advisor or housing people and ask for all the resources that you need to transition smoothly into college, because it is hectic trying to move in from, it's different. High school to college is completely different. And so you I'm just here trying to make sure you have everything that you need to do to like be able to smoothly move in and to transition into college. Because when I was moving in, I was totally caught off guard about everything. I did not know anything. And yes, again, I had brothers that go to college, but they didn't tell me nothing. They did not tell me nothing. And one of my brothers did go to this school, and he did live on campus here, but he didn't tell me nothing because he's a little bit older than mine, older than me. But I'm not bashing you, by the way, if you're listening to this. But most of the time, you have to go out and find out where I made mistakes freshman and sophomore year, trying to figure out what's here, what's not there, where I should be, where I shouldn't be, what's a safe spot on campus, or make sure you avoid that spot on campus, or a little bit off, other fun stuff. And I was out there walking around like the world was all peaches and cream and all that stuff like that. But yeah, this is just my episode, just trying to give tips transitioning from high school to college, the importance and smoothly stepping in and being comfortable to know that you will be okay when you step into college. So thanks for listening to episode 7 of Darius College Steps to Success. I hope you all take care. This is finals week. That might be my next episode or an episode in the future. This is about finals week. I got projects, presentations, everything to do. So I definitely will be back next week. So thanks for listening, and have a very good rest of your day and a very good rest of your week. Peace out.